Welcome, everyone. This is Polly Niels, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at latest in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin.
Hi.
Sanswinda.
Hello.
Werendis.
Hello, everyone.
Calabathian.
No idea what to say today. Hello.
And Krister.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. And today we have a quest pack review. But before that, we have a little thing called Update 33 that was released during the week. And that is the Undershire.
I mean, it was just a tiny update. You can just skip it. It's not like anything big or important happened. It's not like the game was down for a day or anything.
No. Oh yeah, perfectly smooth. Let's go. Okay. Special note, celebrate the 15 years of the Lord of the Rings Online, where they had the anniversary event that is running from April 20th until, well, the patch notes say 3 a.m. on May the 11th, but that has been extended for a day to May 12th due to reasons we'll get into later. The anniversary event takes place inside the Lord of the Rings Online, starting at the party tree located in the hill in the Shire, location 29.9, 71.5. As if most people don't know where the party tree is located, when you first log into the event is active, you will also receive.
I don't know where the party tree is located.
You just follow the part where the party is, man. You can hear it everywhere. It just echoes off the hills. It's wonderful.
No, that's the Greenland Festival. Alive with the sound of hobbits. Which is way better than the alternative. They're alive with the sound of hobbits. At least the hobbits are alive.
Yes. This year's anniversary event features a ton of new items to barter and earn. Among the new rewards are cosmetic items, a steed and a war steed cosmetic of Crystal Resolve, a new golden crystal beetle cosmetic pet, new fireworks consumables, a new housing fire pit and fireplace, and the debut of a new pet, the Corgi. Yes, Corgis can be bartered for festivity tokens, anniversary tokens, or Mithril tokens. Some Corgis are being helpful and hauling carts, while others are running unburdened. Everyone who logs in during the anniversary event will also receive a free Corgi pet.
They're so cute.
So if you want your own derpy little Corgi, you make sure you log on between now and the end of the anniversary. And of course, additionally, you will have once again the anniversary gift boxes that will be opening up for everyone. That means 1 year past whatever year you were from last year. And of course, those who are founders will be getting their 15-year gift box this year. You don't have any idea what's in the 15-year gift box?
Oh, things. Yep, there's a
pinwheel.
pinwheel.
Another post.
Boxes?
Yeah, there's boxes within boxes. There's certainly that with the anniversary.
Happy 15th anniversary! It's cardboard!
They did say what was in it, but it's not in this post, it's in another post. I don't remember what the post was.
Yeah, I didn't look at everything, but I know I have a new pinwheel firework, so.
All right. Then, the Undershire beckons you. Welcome to the northern region known as the Undershire, a sparsely populated region of moor, thicket, and fen that has long been the home of hobbit recluses and troublemakers. Since the time of Bulwer took, the Undershire has squabbled with the more comfortable parts of the Shire, called by them the Hithershire, and the upstart Lotho Sackville Baggins aims to bully the local hobbits, but they're none too keen on his designs. Explore the Undershire, our first expansion in the Shire in years. Fun Hobbit adventures for characters level 20 to 23, free to VIPs, and available in the local store if you are not a VIP.
It's great.
Yeah, having a lot of fun out there. And what you get You can get to the Undershire from 4 locations. You could go west out of Little Delving. You can go northwest out of Needle Hole through the Rushock Gate. You go southeast out of Ered Luin past the Fallowthorn Homesteads through the East Way, and you go southwest along out of Old Barton through Bullroar's Sword.
I suggest Needlehole. You're going to meet somebody that you might recognize coming out of
Yeah.
Needlehole, and it really does kind of help get you around all the zone.
Yes, I think that's sort of the optimal way in order to do it if you're not yet familiar with the area. Also, quest explore and craft your way to level 95 to your heart's content, because with this update, all quest areas, instances, and expansions released between the original launch of LOTRO back in 2007 and up to and including the release of Helm's Deep, the High Elf race, and the Runekeeper, Warden, and Bjorning classes will be available free to everyone.
Oh, and are they? I was trying to do deeding on my little level 30-something brawler in Ered Luin today. I was having skill lag in Ered Luin because there were so many high elves running around leveling.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Actually, it was. I think the last time I've seen Ered Luin that busy was when Honor first opened and I was questing on it.
Yes.
So it's great.
So that means as soon as those guys reach level 20, there's going to be a rush of them flowing out of Ered Luin into the Undershire.
Probably.
But will they look like lumberjacks?
Please. No.
Some of them might,
Please,
because
no.
I see all kinds of different equipment on them.
I am tired of SSG's lumberjack policy in LOTRO.
Lumberjack?
It has to stop. The lumberjacks have to go lumberback.
I am telling you right now
back.
that my high elf hunter that I was running around on yesterday has been re-outfitted as a lumberjack. Just saying.
Oh, good, great! And now it's going to be next week 4 people in LPN, and then next week is going to be everybody, or the week after everybody but me. I will never lower myself to the lumberjacks.
You have to. Well, you can stand out by just dyeing the shirt to a different color.
That's true. You could have
Krister,
different levels of lumberjack, couldn't you?
They are lumberjacks, and they're okay.
I guess I'll just have to learn to live in a world with lumberjacks.
Right. Yes. VIP players will have access to the standard edition versions of the Mordor expansion, the Minas Morgul expansion, and the War of Three Peaks. VIP players now receive 5 additional active quest slots, up to a maximum of 75, as a 15th anniversary special gift. The benefits of the subscriber jug VIP town services will last for 2 weeks instead of 1 day.
Actually,
used to be
it's
2
gonna take a little
days.
bit to get used to it. Used to it though, because.
Yes, I agree, Terry. I queued up my thing so many times before I realized that I think on my tactical and physical mitigation, I literally have like 6 days for it to time out. So it's like I'm protected forever, I think. So.
Right. Also, news and noteworthy, we will begin the process of ending support for the 32-bit versions of the game client for the Lord of the Rings Online in May 18th, 2022. The 32-bit clients will continue to be supported until January 1st, 2023. In the meantime, some features may not fully work on the 32-bit clients. We recommend that all players change their settings in the game launch to switch to the 64-bit game client. This is done by pressing the down arrow button on the top of the launcher, then selecting Options. And that is it for the news and notes. So let's go into the class updates. The Bjornings. Fix the description in the Bjorning Greater Swarm trait. Now correctly indicates that only the dot components become AoE. The bonus damage from Execute's Rage Consumption is now a base multiplier rather than a mastery multiplier, and is much more potent. For the Brawler, general skill damage is bumped in many cases quite substantially. Removed text from the Brawler's metal tooltip that describes functionality it doesn't have. Updated the icon for Brawler trait Fulgurant Strike cooldown to match its skill icon. Gut Punch now correctly states that it reduces the target's outgoing damage by 5%. Share Innate Power skill unlock will not time out if not used within 15 seconds of achieving max buff tier, should now last as long as the buff itself is maintained. One for All was only granting 1% mitigation bonus per nearby ally. It now correctly grants 2% up to a max of 10%. Fist of the Valor, base damage reduced, but its pip mod increases to plus 15% per pip and is now a base damage multiplier, much more potent. Pummel's duration has been reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds, but it now pulses faster, 1 second down to 0.5 seconds, damage rebalance for faster duration. Fixed multiple bugs with innate strength buff timing and shared innate strength application. Innate strength personal buffs increased duration from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. The skill Iron Will no longer consumes any metal when used. The effect from Iron Will now correctly matches its skill tooltip. This skill's effect was incorrectly reducing incoming damage more than the skill tooltip stated. And if cast while you have 4 to 9 metal, this has been resolved and now reduces damage by 2% per metal. So quite a bit of some updates for the Brawler. I have played my Brawler some since this update, and these encounter mobs from breaching the Necromancer's Gate, which 2 weeks ago were tearing apart my Brawler, so that was when my gear was relatively weak on there. Since that time, I have gotten better gear on that, so I was starting to survive against them. But after the update, it looks like I'm just melting those same encounters away.
This one for all thing really interests me because basically it sounds like the Brawler is literally designed to be part of a group, specifically part of a group of other melee fighters. So running pack of Brawlers isn't that much of a bad idea, apparently.
Yes, I keep on forgetting to use One for All, probably because I'm not in groups all that often. Though I was playing my Brawler in a group yesterday, so I need to start remembering that I do have this thing called One for All that I can use. And remember my buffs more regularly.
What's a group of brawlers called anyway? Because I mean, we've got a school of fish
Pummel.
and a murder of crows.
It's a pummel of Brawlers.
A pummel
A
of
pummel
brawlers.
of brawlers.
A
Okay.
pummel of Brawlers. Okay. Alright, we'll go with that. For burglars, the Gambler's trait Swift and Subtle now correctly increases the potency of the heal from Bob and Weave. For the captains, fixed bug from Captain's Hidden Horde yellow set bonus was erroneously applying the skill even if the set was not equipped, and Standard of Honor now scales properly when weapon damage at trait ranks 1 through 4. It also now gains the listed healing bonus from this trait. For the champion, Blade Wall base damage reduced by about 25%. Trait Strong Arm Swings now correctly applies to all strike skill hits. This trait was erroneously applying a buff to the offhand hits made by AoE champion skills, which only occurred if dual wielding. This has been fixed. This trait was only applying a second and third hits from strike skills, despite suggesting otherwise. It is now correctly applied to the first hit as well. Now, Terry, what does this all mean?
Oh, so Strong Arm Swings is, since it applies to strike skills, it's a red line thing. Basically, it means that it is supposed to apply to the first strike that you make for AoE or offhand hits, and apparently it wasn't doing that. It was just doing like second and third strike thingies. I haven't played my champion since the update, so I don't know how it's gonna work itself out, but should be interesting.
Right.
Also, blade wall damage being reduced by 25% isn't that big of a deal because you can boost it back up if you're traded at all in yellow line.
All right. The Guardian, fixed catch a breath set bonus to work properly with tracery or other buffs. For the Hunter, fixed Swift Mercy trait, not correctly reducing the focus cost of Merciful Shot with Swift Bow shots. And for the Lore Master, all right, time to bring out a book perhaps, because this is longer than even the Brawler updates. Lore Master now advance their level 1 to 50 damage and healing progressions in line with Minstrel and Runekeeper progressions. Damage and red line skills and effects in general have been improved. Sikkim retired and Gust of Wind, Burning Embers, and Sticky Gourd reworked due to attempts to reduce or eliminate severe performance issues that they were causing. Sticky Gourd effects are now applied as an immediate AoE that applies its own DOT debuff directly to targets rather than a hotspot. It can also apply Tier 1 Burning Embers when improved. The effects themselves now have a 20-second duration. Improved Sticky Gourd now immediately applies 1 copy of improved Burning Embers, but does not continue to apply them afterwards. The hotspot version of Burning Embers wasn't getting some of the Lore Master stats, such as crit chance, and would overwrite those cast normally, significantly limiting their damage. This version only applies once, but should work properly. Fierce Lightning can now be applied to any Lore Master lightning skill. It now directly applies its fire DOT to targets rather than setting the ground on fire. Pure Slicing Pulse's rate reduced to every 2 seconds, but damage increased, damage duration unchanged. This effect can stack up to twice per caster. Sikkim is replaced with a Murder of Crows. This skill summons a cloud of crows around the target for 15 seconds and a 2-meter cooldown. While they persist, the crows inflict
2-minute cooldown.
Oh, a 2-minute cooldown, yes. While they persist, the crows inflict enormous damage and disorient their victims, reducing hit chance and reducing the damage of other attacks made against the target. Enemies within 7 meters of the main target also makes constant morale damage from the cloud and circling crows, but are not debuffed. Burning Embers is now a single effect of 4 tiers: Smoldering, Burning, Searing, and Blazing. Successive casts of Burning Embers will upgrade the dot. Each caster may have 1 copy of it on a given target. All other variants, crossfire, sticky versions, etc., are gone. Each tier has its own variation in visual effects and icon, and damage of the single instance of Burning Embers has increased greatly. And when lightning skills trigger a burst of flame on a target, Burning Embers is only downgraded 1 tier rather than being consumed, unless it is, of course, at tier 1, in which case it's removed. And Gust of Wind can now only spread Burning Embers from its main target to others in the AoE. It no longer tries to spread from every target to every target. This was a big performance issue. Gust of Wind can also upgrade Embers 1 stage on the target hits, and the chance of spreading upgrading has been increased. And resolved issues with the interaction between Kindred Flame and Hidden Horde bonus set. Whew, that's quite a mouthful. And the question is, has anyone here had an opportunity to play a Lore Master since this was released?
No, but I know one, and I should ask him what he's feeling. It's kind of interesting thinking about those changes because it sounds like their DPS has been increased dramatically at this point. But it's kind of funny thinking about that the murder of crows right when you said the effect. I was like, I wonder if they did this for performance issues, was to change it so you're not generating all your pets. And then the fire, of course, on the floor. I think that's one of the biggest complaints I've ever heard about in raids. It's like, oh my god, it's lagging terribly. It's Lore Master. They put fire on the floor.
Lore Master and the Runekeeper, it's all their fault. Yeah, now we have to blame all the Runekeepers for the lag instead of the Lore Masters. Yes, it was due for performance issues. And Sikkim was cool, but yeah, summoning all of the pets. Also, I'm really interested to see, because do you now also have to sick your murder of crows on a person, or it seems like not, because Sikkim was actually 2 skills. You have Sikkim, which summons all of the things, and then you have the send them at the target, which is a second skill. So if you
it sounds like it's turned into it's like not a single target to an AoE.
Yeah, well, now it sounds almost like it's turned into one skill now too, so it frees up a slot on your quick bars. So that's always helpful.
Yeah, that's useful. Now let's head to the Minstrel. Base skill damage increased for most skills. Song of the Hammerhand base bubble value reduced from 80% down to 35%. Enduring Morale now scales properly with level. At its third tier, Enduring Morale grants Call of the Second Age a 2-second stun effect that increases to 3 seconds by tier 5. To help counter some of the loss in survivability, we fixed scaling on this morale trait and added a new CC source for the Minstrel.
Crowd control.
Yeah, crowd control source of Minstrel when they are overpulled. And fixed racial animation discrepancy for Call of the Second Age. Call of the Second Age animations have been adjusted and can now be affected by speed multipliers. This skill will also blend with locomotion animation. The traits Inspiring Finish and Emboldened Finish now each scale to a 100% application chance at max tier, 25% to 50% to 100%, where it was 10%, 20% to 30%. Base damage of Echoes of Battle has increased by about 50%. Echoes of Battle damage bonuses from Cacophonous Timeless Echoes, red trait, and Weakening Echoes of Battle, yellow trait, have been swapped. Echo's tech rate is sped up from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. This should offset the damage per tick, but not the actual DPS. Finesse trait becomes Song of Arda, which grants up to plus 25% light damage. Piercing Ballads trait now includes the finesse buff that Song of Arda replaced. Concentration trait changed to about a minus 10% attack speed passive. Coda of Fury Cry reset chance increased from 30% to 50% chance. Emboldened Finish damage bonus improved from 50% to 25%. Bracing Finish and damage bonus increased from 7.5% to 15%. Coda Finishing buffs extended from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. And Echoes of Battle base damage increased substantially. Tweaked Echoes of Battle to tick faster, 3 seconds, and to allow partial ticks as players' ballads frequently causing it to reset, interrupting its ticks. This is a partial fix to a known issue where changes to tactical damage bonuses will cause Echoes of Battle toggle to refresh, interrupting its pulse timer and substantially reducing its damage potential. Anyone play a Minstrel since the update?
No, but I'm really curious about the Echoes of Battle changes, because I actually use that skill a lot when I play a mini.
All right. And finally, the Warden. Determination skill for the Free People's buff now reduces incoming damage by 2.5% per stack, up to a maximum of minus 25% incoming damage. And that is it for the class changes. So let's go to crafting. Brawler Zircon belt buckles will have enhanced stats when they are crafted with a critical success. The crafted headpieces for the Orning Abyss armor sets now correctly counts towards their set bonuses. Tier 9 Cook Reputation Trail food recipes will now display their names correctly when multiples of the recipe are stacked. Fixed extraction recipe for bit of pure Anorian ore, so that you can no longer use a bit of pure Anorian ore or universal optional crafting ingredient to boost crit chances of extraction. And also the Master Jeweler barrel belt buckle recipe. The icon and description now correctly identify the recipe as being part of the master tier. And as for items, new and changed a word of craft set bonuses. Perfect accuracy renamed to heroic alacrity and now provides a set bonus of minus 3% attack speed. Perfect precision renamed to heroic precision and now provides a set bonus of plus 3% crit chance. Grand Armor now provides a set bonus of plus 1.5% physical mitigation. Grand Willpower now provides a set bonus of plus 1.5% tactical mitigation. Perfect Healing now provides a set bonus of plus 3% outgoing healing. And Perfect Recovery now provides a set bonus of plus 3% incoming healing. And new Bjorning Traceries. Counter dodge and counter attack damage, plus 5% dodge and plus 50% damage. Shake free cooldown is minus 10 seconds. Slash damage plus 35%. Thrash damage plus 35%. Nature's Mend healing plus 20%. And Encouraging Roar instant heal plus 15%. And the following Bjorning traceries have been updated. Slam bonus Wrath Chance tracery now adds damage to that skill plus 25%. And bonus Dot Pulse tracery now also extends the swarm debuffs to a similar duration so they match. And one specific change to complement the tracery changes, Crippling Sting's base duration extended from 8 seconds to 12 seconds to match the other swarm debuffs, but its base low magnitude was reduced from minus 30% to minus 15%, and now maxes out at from minus 50% down to minus 35%. Also fixed the stat scaling of several Captain standards. In particular, Anorian standards were providing too much morale and have been corrected down to what they should be. Gundabad tier standards were providing morale that didn't scale properly and now provide the correct amount of vitality instead. Captains using Gundabad tier standards should see their maximum morale increase slightly as a result of this fix. What do you say about that, Krister?
I'm too old for all of that. Or I didn't notice it, at least, I guess, in the...
Okay. All right. All Relic of Gunabad items now correctly state that they are only sought after by the Joruka and cannot be used to advance other allegiances. Also, symbols of Celebrimbor and symbols of the Elder King should not have been disenchantable to ancient script. The blemished level 100 versions of these items can no longer be disenchanted. They may still be used to craft obsolete legendary items for their cosmetics. Shimmering Dust and Monstrous Scale item descriptions incorrectly stated that they could be turned in for tasks. Their descriptions now correctly state that they can only be sold to vendors. Aquahun's brand of the Tyrant and Lanenthal's insignia of the Captain General now correctly apply immunities to slow, disarm, and silence effects for 5 seconds rather than 10 seconds. And the size of the housing decoration item Hremo Frost Arts in effigy has been appropriately increased, because you certainly don't want a tiny Hremo Frost Art. And some of our fan bundles granted Legendary item 2 tokens that could not be bartered properly at Rivendell. The broken tokens description has been updated to reflect their status and lets owners know where to trade them in. Existing bad tokens have already opened packages can be bartered at the Rivendell archive for packages with working tokens. These now grant packages that will give the character bound tokens that will work correctly. These tokens will scale to the level of the character opening the sub-package. And now for quest and adventure areas. The Angle of Mithril will now act the same as other regions do regarding to event-based and festival-based effects and bonuses. The quest of Oznul Bazaar was only awarding a single package of enhancement runes incomparable instead of 2. Beginning with Update 33, this deed will instead award 2 enhancement runes level 121. Players who already completed the deed will be retroactively granted these enhancement runes upon opening their Update 33 goes live. Thank you for your patience on this matter. As for the fate of Gundabad, in the Pit of Stonejaws, dwarf wights that appeared during the Tomb of the Old Lords will no longer spawn inside their sarcophagi and have updated entrance animation. And in Welcome Lofts, in the instance, the tipping point corrected an issue where Gorgar's orcs were sometimes not appearing at the conclusion of the instance. As for the Hidden Horde of Abnankara, the brittle chains and hobgoblin totems can no longer become scions on tier 4 plus. Book's Absolute Clarity now tiers up 7 seconds on tier 4 plus for 5 seconds, and monster stats mods have been adjusted slightly downward for tier 4. Health is now multiplied by 3.5, down from 3.75, and damage is now multiplied by 3.25, down from 3.5. So I don't think there's anyone here who has seriously run tier 4 plus yet.
No. Just hearing that those totems change into scions is very distressing.
And as for Mordor, Gorgoroth, continue the conquest. If you have completed the details of Gorgoroth and are at least level 115, but did not receive this quest, you can now obtain the quest by traveling to any of the Mordor Allegiance Halls, the Udun Foothold, and the Ruins of Dingarth, or to Mach Ashtu in Gorgoroth. And Black Book of Mordor, Chapter 13.8, Guardians of the Tower will now have billboards that update with each monster kill.
Billboards?
Those are the messages that appear on your screen whenever you
Oh, I thought
advance
they were
certain
like
actions.
billboards like you like on the highway, and I'm like, so we're gonna have billboards in Mordor now? Eat
Hey!
at Sauron's? I mean,
That shows you how
I mean,
evil
the place
Sauron
is really, really needing some love since the Dark Lord was defeated. They're going to
one
give
does not.
Krister
Wicks. They're going to give Krister Wicks a run for their money.
Six
Okay,
Flags
good.
over Mordor.
Yeah, no, see, what happens is that in order to attract tourism, they are going to open up some casinos in various sites of Mordor. And so you need all the billboards to tell you how to get there.
The problem with the Saragosse one is it's really hard to tell what color the chips are.
Well, there is that. The Coldfells vendor has been updated with new poison, disease, fear, and wound potions, as well as new rations. The exit portal for mission clearing a path is now clearly marked with the customary visual effects. This should reduce the frequency of players going, I wonder what's back here, and accidentally leaving the mission. The Jaruka clan quests for the Jaruka clan that allow use of mithril coins to swiftly travel to certain objectives now properly places the player at the proper location instead of outside the hall of Vernazal. And Urugarth Deed, the Orcs of Urugarth. This deed and its advanced variant now advance from defeating goblins in Urugarth. Thank you. If you previously had either of these deeds underway but not completed, their progress will be reset at the time of this update. Not good if you're one away from completing the deed. However, they will be much quicker to complete. Thank you. If you have previously completed these deeds, you will see no change. And adjusted the Hungry Hobbit patrol in level delving.
Hungry Hobbit. Hungry hobbits.
Now, I don't know the reason for that change. And one of the Drakeling eggs in Korsgrat needed for the Deep's Grave quest, Drake's Cradle, is now reachable.
Well, thank you. Gotta hate it when you can't reach something you need.
And in B's Big Business Challenge, Flower Power players can now complete the Small Fellowship and Fellowship versions of this quest on legendary servers. It's sort of moot because that particular festival is now over. And also in B's Big Business Challenge, B's Big Business, players can now complete the Small Fellowship and Fellowship versions of the deed on legendaries. Alright, so basically 2 deeds that can now be completed on legendary servers. And Deed Vanguard
You
of
can totally
Central
do these deeds on the legendary servers, except you really can't because
Psych.
Yeah. Deed Vanguard of Central Gondor now rewards players with a cracked Rohirrim tracery rather than an obsolete blemish symbol of the Elder King. And as for missions, bonus legendary item boosts will now award players with an incomparable tracery rather than heritage runes, which are unusable to any player below level 115. And removed obsolete travel routes from Shrimbark. Dug out a hobbit hole in Breeland that was sunk too deeply.
hobbits they dug too deep.
Dug too deep. Yeah, they were taught how to dig that by dwarves, maybe. Added mailboxes to Belfalis and Eastfold housing social spaces. And adjusted the placement of Forsting. And as for miscellaneous updates, the word Gundabad has been removed from Legendary Item Rewards track panel titles. For the remaining of 2022 festivals, the dies that were bartered for Mithril coins last year can be acquired for the appropriate festival tokens this year, while the dies available for festival tokens last year are now available for Mithril barter. Fixed typos in Great River, Gondor, Mordor, Rohan, Beelzebub doing Avendem, Warning Class quests, Bingo quests, food items, Urugarth, Weathertop, Wildwood, Great River, and Big Battles. And for Lua, fix an issue where using the subscriber town services would not clear Lua data between character logins. And the subscriber buffs and town service items granted by the VIP Rewards daily quest will now last for 2 weeks. I think we already heard that one.
Yes.
Yay! And what was really interesting on that is when I logged into a character that I last logged on to 4 days earlier, it actually told me that I had 10 days left on my item rather than it having expired because I wasn't. Because I had assumed that, well, if you didn't log in the last 2 days, it was going to be expired. But no, it says it was still good for 10 more days, even though I last logged into that character before the update. And the Valor 130 trait points Minstrel item will, going forward, now give the correct amount of class trait points and stack with previous Valor level boost 120 use. And when
I'm still wondering every time, how many was it giving before,
I have
if not the
absolutely no
correct
idea.
amount? Yeah, because it says going forward, and I'm like, so do the people who were affected by it before get extra ones that should have been there?
As I have never actually I was about to wait because I was about to say I'd never valored a minstrel, but now I think of it, I have valored a minstrel, I think. And I don't require there being a trouble with class trait points on that character. I think I was put at cap, so
Was it
unless I was
130
getting
though, or
too
was it
many.
120?
No, I think it was a 130 that I did, because I think my Minstrel is the one who benefited from the free 130 that you got from the collector's edition
Hmm.
for Gundabad. Not sure. When using the flame of Ankalamir, the confirmation dialog now correctly states that it will deconstruct the entire stack of target items at once. Undershire corrects mistranslation of huge wings during the Thorn Hall quest log. Right. Forge Masters will no longer offer to tell you about imbuement because it's an obsolete thing. And the spear's innate bleed spear pierce now correctly scales with item level.
You know, I totally wish that they could have left that idea about imbuement. The Forge Masters will no longer offer to tell you about imbuement because it's obsolete, but they could have totally have worked it in like, well, in my day, there was something called imbuement. And it's like an old person.
We don't need Forge Masters for that. We have all the other players.
Yes.
We have our own
Yeah.
memories.
Back in my day, you had to dismount before you could go through a door.
Yes. Future world shutdown messages should be more visible. The launcher will now ask you to switch to the 64-bit game client if you're using the 32-bit one.
Can confirm it did that for me after I updated.
All right. Updated several typos and mistranslations in the French and German, including in titles, quests, and maps. And updated localization on a number of strings in the launcher, making the text clearer for indicating and selecting which game client is to be used. There you go. And that's it for the updates. One or two items in there. Anyone have anything to say about the update before we go on?
I'm sure I'll have more to say as I immerse myself in the changes.
Yes, we are just getting started in there, and seeing that I've spent a lot of my time in places like the Undershire, it's not like I've done too much in the high-end content since then. So remember, as I stated before, that the festival is being extended one day past the date given in the version of the release notes that I was reading there. They might update the release notes at some point, but the last day, full day, is the 11th, and that they'll be shutting down at 3 a.m. on the 12th at server time. Yes. And of course, we have the 15th anniversary, as we spoke before, and we have a anniversary festival guide where they talk about what is available in there. Where's the anniversary event? Of course, they have events at the Party Tree in Bree, in the festival arena, in the basement of Thorns Hall, at the Methil stage, and of course, the horse race tracks. And they ask, where should you go first? Well, one possibility is, of course, the Party Tree, where you could speak to Waldo Rumble, who has the rapper quest for doing anniversary quests. And note that there are 9 days worth of a yearly yield and another lovely year participation quest. You will need to plan carefully in order to complete these during the yearly festival event. And remember that the anniversary scavenger hunt, which begins with year 1 and runs through year 11, and is the main rapper quest for the scavenger hunt portion of the events. We do, of course, have the scavenger hunt going along if you haven't done that yet. So it looks like I think these are the same ones that we've had before. I don't think there are any changes to it. And remember that if you are a lower level character, they do have an area door version of the scavenger hunt so that you don't need to go to weird places like Rohan or Gondor in order to be able to complete these. So you can just do the Eriador version, and everything then will be within Eriador. And they have added for 2022 a festivity instance for this area, and that is a flurry of fireworks. This is a festival instance available to experience while the anniversary event is live. You can open up the instance finder and going Control F, and you'll see a flurry of fireworks under seasonal anniversary tab on that area. So, of course, this is one where you'll be setting off fireworks and having memories. Anyone here have a chance to play that yet?
Yes.
So
It was a lot of fun. The one thing that I did discover, I first time through did it with a small fellowship, and we completed the challenge without knowing there was a challenge. But instead of the title saying spectacular sparkler, it says spectacular sparkler. So we all bug reported it as a typo. So hopefully they'll fix that. But it is very enjoyable. You are helping Gandalf keep from the actual official Bree fireworks are shot off up the hill past where we do all of our normal fireworks shooting off, and you have to keep the fireworks from being ruined, from getting set off early.
Yeah.
So it's very much kind of like the summer instance with the Perfect Picnic.
Right. Now, I have done the 1-player version and the 6-player version on this one. Now, on the 6-player version, looks like that for some reason I didn't get the Sparkler quest that everybody else got, because I had no trouble getting that. No, because that was a different character. I don't think. Yeah,
Did you do it already that day at a different tier though? Because I didn't get the handing out the sparkler quests the second time I ran it that day. I had done the solo version, and then I did a small fellowship. So I think you can only do that once a day.
Okay, so maybe I had done it on my brawler. I had forgotten that was the character that I'd done it on the first time. And I guess I had assumed I had done it on a different character. But, okay, it's a possibility then that I had done it on my brawler and forgotten that the brawler, that when I did the 6th version on, was the same character that I had run it on. Okay, so that is probably intentional that
I think it's kind of like
once a day.
Frostbluff at Yule. If you've ran it already, like solo or 2-man, if you run a fellowship, I know that you don't usually get the second time. You don't get to get the extra chest with the extra tokens. So I'm gonna imagine they've set it up the same way.
Extra chest?
Well, yeah. There's the stuff you get when you grab the flag, but then there's also the chest.
Okay, you're talking about the fireworks chest?
Well, no. I was comparing it to Frostbluff.
Oh, Frostbluff. Okay.
Yeah, to the snowball fight.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm presuming they set it up the same way. Yeah, that you can't click on the chest a second time. It's not there for you.
Well, I had no trouble clicking on the chest, I thought. Or actually, I think somebody clicked on, or maybe somebody clicked on the chest before I did, so I wouldn't have known. It's hard to remember.
I ran into a 6-hour timer last night. I couldn't click it again.
Oh, it was a 6-hour timer on the chest?
Well, I'm going to guess that it may have been server reset.
Okay. Yeah, that's a possibility.
Because of the time that I ran.
Yes. What can you get from the anniversary event? So many things besides Quest XP, Legendary Item XP, Virtue XP, Figments of Splendor, unique items, and more. You will earn anniversary tokens that you could trade for all sorts of anniversary rewards. Anniversary barter vendors called Game Masters will exchange your anniversary tokens for numerous rewards, including mounts, pets, cosmetic items, housing items, musical instruments, carrying torches, fireworks, maps, and more. And game masters are located at the Party Tree Bree Market Square and Hengstacer Farm in Breeland. I should note that the game masters also will also barter for festivity tokens, and it's really hard to find them because they have so many different selections that you could do on there, and they have so many pages that I didn't see it the first time I had it on there, but someone eventually in our group of 6 did find them, so that we said, okay, this is where you get your items that you want that you can turn in for your festivity tokens. And I forgot what you
There's a
get there.
drop down.
Yeah, there's a drop down
filter
there.
that it says seasonal skirmish rewards anniversary.
Right. I didn't see that the first time I was in there, and I couldn't find the NPC that would be doing it otherwise, because I know that there's also an NPC who does that for the other festivals that have festivity tokens in there, but she wasn't around, so I was wondering where do you turn these in at? Especially when you're getting close to 40 on there. But then eventually, someone in the group, yes, did find that tab that you just mentioned, so that we were able to barter for some stuff. I think I wound up getting I think that's the one that had the 3-colored Corgi as one of the rewards.
They also have a permanent blue sparkler, like the Yule sparkler. Instead of that, it's blue. And it actually does the little trails if you're like dancing or you have it in your hand and it's moving. It does the trails like a sparkler would do in real life.
Okay.
Cool.
That's neat.
It is very cool.
Except you won't burn yourself like you would with a real life sparkler.
Thank heavens, yes. We don't need a bucket with water or sand in it to like keep it safe.
Okay. And the anniversary horse trader is named Henry Peartree, and he is located in Bree near the market square and offers mounts for anniversary tokens or mithril coins. This is specifically where you can find mount rewards from previous anniversary events in addition to the newest mount. And the Keeper of Gifts is also located throughout the world and barter steel tokens for various rewards. Steel tokens are acquired when defeating enemies throughout the game and are given as random drops. Keeper of Gifts can be found in the Remarket Square, Cariscalathan, Kalindim, Estilden, Galtreb, Glandreig, Gransfoot, the Great Hall of Thorns Hall, Mickle Delving, the 21st Hall of Moria, Oscaruth, Oscaloth, Rivendell, Stangard, and Tinadir. Whew. And Becca Burdock can exchange various seasonal festivity tokens for other festival tokens and is located near the party tree. And of course, we also have an anniversary guide by Fibro Jedi, anniversary scavenger hunt guide by the Department of Strategery, the LOTRO anniversary celebration at LOTRO Wiki, and an anniversary celebration with Deco de Bleu, who offers their report in both English and in French.
That's the guide for all things housing.
Yes. So with that, we can go to the store sales. Terry, what's for sale this week?
Let's see. Our weekly coupon is a free tome of tracking with coupon code Track It Down now through April 28th. And also through the 28th, we got 20% off select war steeds and mounts, riding skills, select war steed cosmetics, movement speed buffs, and that's it. Find your Shadowfax. Except not really, because Shadowfax isn't even close to being like one of the things you can barter for or buy or anything. Boo.
Yeah. Ooh, oh well.
I mean, you can make your horse kind of white, but you can't make it glow like Shadowfax.
Well, there's only so close your horse can get to being one of those. Let's then head to the site news, where Squirrel has made a guide for the anniversary scavenger hunt in his See Community Highlights 2 for the scavenger hunt, where he has a description of each of the years to the scavenger hunt, and the link will take you to the Department of Strategery's guide and tutorials for this. In fact,
It's the best guide.
I believe I used that back in the original days when they first came out with these. If there's something I couldn't find, that's exactly where I would go. And also for the area door scavenger hunt, for lower level characters, there is a version available that only includes areas in area door. A lot shorter, but will only award one item instead of the full 2 to 3 reward per year. No full guide with maps available, but 2 good ones. So let's give a link to those 2. And the ones in area door are just a subset of the ones for the main one. So you could probably use the Department of Strategeries and just remember that anything outside of area door is you're not going to be sent to any of those, well, if you're doing the area door version. So that means that there are some of the scavenger hunts for the area door version is pretty close to the main one, and there are others where it's 1 or 2 little things because everything else was outside. And that's it for that. So let's head into our main topic for today, the Update 31 Quest Pack review, a review of Gundabad. Whee! And yes. Yeah, a bit of time in order to get this done because Gundabad was just a large one in there that it took us 2 updates before we got around to doing our Quest Pack review. And this, of course, includes the Legacy of Durin finale, which means that it is a spoiler time. And that is because for the next, let's say, 15 minutes, I will be discussing the storyline of the final chapters of the Legacy of Durin and Trial of the Dwarves. And we'll be going through there, telling about what happens and the circumstances in there, maybe some thoughts on it here and there. So if you don't want to be spoiled any, it's probably good to skip on ahead so that you will not hear this section. And with that, let's get into our little storyline in there, where we have in here chapter 5 through chapter 11. So that is a total of, let's see, 7 chapters that we've got in there. And we'll begin where you are at Anakrefu, where you are now finally being told it is time for us to break into that mountain that has been closed to us all of this time. And that means we're going to have to get out some pickaxes and get them all into there. But first thing we need to do is that apparently there are some reinforcements that came that weren't exactly expected. I mean, we were expecting reinforcements for military and for fighting and all that stuff, and maybe for getting into Gundabad, but we weren't expecting artisans like a certain sculptor.
Fish slap.
So many fish slaps.
Oh, it's an entire school of fish slaps.
Entire school of fish slaps. Yes. Stolly the Hewer is decided to arrive in here, and he is coming there with his long-suffering apprentice and the apprentice's sister. And there we start to help the apprentice in some ways, and we help the apprentice get the baggage up for Stolly the Hewer, because Stolly the Hewer, of course, expects the apprentice to do everything. Once we do that and get acquainted with the master and the apprentice, It is then time for us to get to it and start to open up the passage. And that is what we do. We head into there, and finally we break through and get through the ice. Several dwarves in there using their pickaxes. Of course, while that's going on, there is naturally an attack by some interfering Angmarim. But we were able to handle that with a little bit of help from Durin and also from Prince Ingor from the Joruka. But then we get inside, and finally we arrive inside Gundabad. And there we start with doing some treasure hunting, of course, because why go into a lost, long, closed place without looking for a little bit of treasure? And eventually, though,
Let's face it, we go everywhere and look for treasure, including Mordor, which has no treasure.
Right, you got a point there. So after that, we eventually wind up at the Steep Set, which is the high seat of the dwarves, and Durin talks about how this is a great place in there, but unfortunately, in all these years here, someone stole the gems that are set around on the Steep Set. Unfortunately. So we don't get to see it, at least at this point, in its full glory. And in fact, the whole thing about rebuilding the Steep Set and getting it back and restored and all that stuff is a theme that runs throughout all of Gundabad, not just through the Legacy of Durin. And which reminds me, Warendis, how are you in getting that all built up?
Oh, it's done.
Oh, it's all done?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We need to see a picture of you standing next to it with
Okay.
yes, so that we can see. But anyway, that's a whole big thing, which we'll probably talk about more later on in there. But yes, that seat is not done. And of course, Stolly the Hewer says, we need to get this done. And I know what we could do. We can get my apprentice to go out and find everything that we need. Find those gems so that we can now rebuild and restore this place. So in the next chapter, we go out and find this artisan. And we find that the apprentice that has been assigned to go into some of the most dangerous places in all of Gundabad is, of course, not a fighter type. He is a crafter. And if he attempted to go out there and fight against orcs in order to preserve his life when he inevitably would be attacked in there, he would most likely drop the axe and nothing proper happen. Except, of course, him dying, which is most improper. So now we thought, all right, I know what we can do. We could find him a teacher for fighting, which we promptly do. And at this point, it appears that Eskil is not very trainable either in there. So he fails in that also. Which means that now we've got to find a way to get him out of his contract. I know what we could do. We could look at his contract. So we try to sneak up and find his contract to see if there's any way out of it. And of course, Stolly was quite prepared for such an eventuality, where he keeps the whole thing on his person so that no one goes around looking through his luggage looking for this thing. And it's that point that we read the contract. Which, if you want to have a nice laugh, you should read through the entire contract because it is the most one-sided contract I think that has ever been invented in the history of dwarfkind.
It was pretty great.
It was pretty great in there. But eventually, the apprentice's sister comes up with an idea. It apparently indicates that we could, in some time, appoint a substitute, as she volunteers herself to become the substitute and hence the new apprentice for son. And of course, she knows what she's getting into because she's been following her brother along for some time, knowing exactly what he's been going through here. Apparently, she's the better fighter of the two, and she thinks that she has a much better chance of surviving the situation than her brother did. So she takes over as the apprentice in there. So after this, we head out into other places in there. So we go to the houses of rest and go through various places in there in the stone. Oh, these names in there are the stone jaws or something like
Into
that.
the stone jaws.
Yeah, the stone jaws. Yes, we go into the stone jaws, and eventually we find a room where there is a broken mosaic. Now, of course, we eventually get Fastrith, the new apprentice, in there, and she decides that this could be something that could be of interest to her master, because it looks like a mosaic of the death of Motsag, the betrayer. And what do we do with this? We'll have to go and find out what this is, and maybe we could see if her master could do, because he would just love an opportunity to go and try to restore this thing. But of course, after that, we do have a few more places that we need to go in trying to clear out the trouble that we have here. We want to, of course, make Gundabad safe for the dwarves. So we go about byways and highways, and eventually we find out that someone has stolen the black anvil of Durin, which of course is probably the biggest insult that you can do. In fact, we have a quest called An Insult Never to be Forgotten, where we are told that we need to kill 101 Angmrim in Glooming Tarn. And I think Terry was all about ready to do it too.
Yep. Kill it all.
Unfortunately, after we kill a few of them, he says, maybe we can find another way to get revenge. Whatever. We, after that, then go to the Cloven Gap to see if we could find the anvil over there. We don't find an anvil, but we do find a color pebble. And that gives Broing, you remember Broing back from the Moria days? Broing got an idea. Because Broing was with us when we found that broken mosaic with Fastrith, and he is starting to grow a little fond of her. He thus thinks, what if you go around to various places and collect several of the pebbles like this from various enemies throughout Gundabad? And when I say that, we get different colors from different areas in Gundabad, and go around there and bring in the pebbles so that we can maybe use these as helping us in order to rebuild the mosaic. And eventually, yes, we do manage to do this. Now, just as we collect all these stones, we find out that a goblin has been captured. And this is a goblin that we actually encountered earlier in the story, but I sort of glossed over that on there. And this goblin, Glurkur, has an idea and is trying to convince Durin not to kill him. I mean, I suppose that makes sense. So he likes to give us some information. And one of the pieces of information he gives us is where the mithril hammer that Gorgar is using came from. And it happened to come from the same chamber where that mosaic is located. All right, that's useful information there. So next he says that we could do is that we go and do a heist with the goblin and After doing that heist, I'm not going to go into details on the heist, Durin decides, all right, fine. And we wind up going back into the chamber. And there we find that the pieces are put together and they create this glorious mosaic of the defeat of Motsog. And they're like, oh, nothing happened. Well, okay, what happened if we put the hammer back into its resting spot? Nothing happens. Then our apprentice decides, hey, maybe this isn't the mosaic that was presented. Maybe instead it was not of Durin defeating Motsog, but an earlier one where Durin and Motsog are friends and showing the hammer in the middle. And when they do this and complete the second version of the mosaic, at that point, we have a door opens. And in that door opening, we eventually go down underground, deep underground, through a very, very long set of stairs. I think everyone will agree with that there's a long set of stairs.
Yes,
Yes.
this is a very, very
Reasonable
long,
Very long.
very long set of stairs.
Yes.
But the views.
It would have been so much fun to have a hang glider.
I would have settled for an elevator.
I was
Yeah.
totally waiting for Sans to say something like a hang glider shaped like a Moomock or something.
Oh, what about a slinky? Oh,
A
you imagine how many
slinky.
days you could spend with your slinky in that?
Oh, well. Now, as for an elevator, I guess that's not too far-fetched, considering that there is a section of Gundabad where there is literally an elevator available. So, yeah, why not here? In any case, we go down there and eventually we find a statue of Motsog. Now, Durin is wondering, why is there a statue of Motsog in there? Who built this statue? And eventually, after some time, we wind up doing something that causes the statue to come to life.
Pinocchio.
Yes. And
Can
this,
you wish upon a star?
because apparently that statue is actually Motsog, who had been put to sleep over all these years. We're talking about from the first age all the way down here, all the way through the second age, and all the way through most of the third age, since we're coming at the very, very end of that. And that he's been sleeping all this time, seeing the various lives of Durin and what he's gone through and the trials of the dwarves, and watching them in a dream that he's been going through all these times. And it is here then that we learn the history of the dwarves, the various incarnations of Durin, and also we learn what really happened during the Grey Maul Rebellion. So we get the full story of the Grey Maul Rebellion, and eventually Durin comes out of this knowing a few things. One, that he is indeed Durin the Seventh. Two, that even though Motsog and Durin fought this bitter war against each other, that after the Grey Maul Rebellion ended and the Sunder Battle, that they became sort of friends again. And three, that Motsog has 1 day left before he finally dies, and in that 1 day, he wants to be able to help kill Hrimel, because the hammer of Motsog during the Sunder Battle was used to maim and hurt Hrimel, and Hrimel remembers that weapon. And Motsog thinks that he'll be able to defeat Hrimel with the help of that weapon. So therefore, Durin calls a moot to gather the dwarves together so he could decide what to do. Now, really, I don't think Durin was really doing this to decide anything, but to sort of act as bait so that Hrimel will arrive and give an opportunity for Mozog to attack Hrimel. Hrimel, of course, sees Mozog there, sees the Grey Maul there, and runs. Or flies, more accurately. Run figuratively, flies literally. And
Say,
gets out
if
of
she's running down that mountain, then we have a problem.
Yes, no, yeah, she flies away. All right. Sort of the opposite of the usual one where we say someone flies figuratively while running literally.
You fools!
Yeah. Yes. So we go with Mozog in order to chase after Hrimel so that we could deal with Hrimel before the sunset. And when we finally find out where Hrimel is staying, it is there that we find the anvil. You know, this anvil that we were looking for way back earlier? Yes, we finally found it right where Hrimel is located. And the Angrim are trying to put evil etchings onto it so that they could turn it to their purpose, which I'm sure would be the greatest insult to the dwarves ever.
Oh, they were going to use it to bring down the mountain.
Yes, bring down the mountain.
Which we actually kind of do.
All right, I'm going to draw a dwarf being tossed on this lamp, and then I'm going to go over to this wall.
Yes. So once that is done, we then have the battle, and of course the sun is beginning to sink, and Mozog is starting to lose his strength and all that stuff, but he does one last defiant act, and that is to take the hammer and slam it upon the anvil, and that creates this big ringing, which brings down the mountain in many ways. And this does a great injury to Hrimel, who eventually has to limp away, very hurt enough in such a fact that 12 people could go in later on and kill her, right? You've done that, Krister.
On tier 1 at least.
Yeah, tier 1.
Tier 1, yes.
Actually, it's 12 people plus 2 dwarves.
Plus 2 dwarves. Okay, yes, there is that.
So, finally, for legal purposes, I have to state that my raid mates didn't, nor I, killed the dragon. One of the dwarves did. So we're blameless, really. We were just there witnessing the whole thing, but we didn't actually kill the dragon.
Oh no, you just did so much damage to it. Yes, you were definitely accessories to that.
Accessories to murder.
I don't think that's any better than actually being the murderer. So,
no, especially your rather strong accessories to it. Accessories during the fact, I think, is what they will list that as.
I mean, you didn't kill her, but it wasn't from lack of trying.
Yes,
that's right.
It certainly wasn't from lack of trying.
In all fairness, you did accept the quest to do that, so it's really kind of it's premeditated.
Oh yes, very definitely premeditated.
So that makes the insanity plea go right out the window, doesn't it? So.
Well, I know you're kind of crazy to take on a dragon, but
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, kind of you can still use the insanity plea because dragon.
Yeah, insanity is implied because of what you were doing.
Also, I'm still kind of boggling at the fact that Avalanche wounded Hrimel, because isn't this like the second time she's been trapped under ice? Because isn't that what happened with the anvil?
I never did the anvil. Krister, did you do the anvil?
We did, but I'm trying to think about how that.
I thought she chased us out and sealed us out with ice.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
I thought we were chased out.
That was her fortress of
are totally
solitude.
missing the entire point here.
It was
How
her
did
own
an
ice.
ice dragon get hurt by snow?
Yeah, exactly. I guess it was all the rocks under the snow.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
pretty sure if it was just snow, she would not have been hurt all that much.
She could have gotten covered up so much that just lowered her body temperature and she fell asleep. Maybe.
Except Ice Dragon.
Well, I don't want to think about the technicalities that instantly disprove what I'm saying, but
I still don't understand how a Frost Dragon breathes fire, but that's a whole other discussion.
Well, there is that.
Icy hot. It's not fire.
Well, maybe she doesn't actually have the fire in her, but has various chemicals in there which, when spit out, react together and create the fire. Going on, let's then, after Kreml is chased away and waiting for the raid to come after her, we have our last celebration to say Gundabad is ours, and oh, that's right, because I forgot that while getting up to Hremil, the last one that we fight before Mozart kills Hremil, the one who delays us in causing the sun to go down, is, of course, the head of all the orcs in there.
Gorgar. We can finally kill Gorgar.
Yeah, we get to kill Gorgar. Yay!
I was expecting a much harder battle.
Oh, well.
Then again, there were like, what, 5 of us or something?
I don't know. I wasn't expecting it. No, because that's a solo instance. No, I actually wasn't expecting it to be at all a hard battle, because he's been running away from us for like 2 updates.
Yes. Well, there is that. Yes. Anyway, so Gorgar is gone, and Hremil was hurt and later slain in a raid. So many of the enemies in Gundabad were down, so the dwarf says, Gundabad is ours! So we all celebrate for that, and after which we say farewell to Mosak, who is now gone and passed on.
Free. Dobby is
Finally,
free.
Finally free on that matter. And then we finish up with a little letter from Durin, where we get a mosaic from him. So that's a nice little reward. And on top of this mosaic, he also talks about various things that he's learned since then. And he's wondering whether the El Dorado of the dwarves
The Fargathal.
Yeah, the Fargathal. Whether or not the Fargathal might have been either inspired by an image from Motsak trying to communicate to the Joruka, perhaps, or perhaps maybe they saw in the early days in there when they were wandering, perhaps the early ruins of Sundagrat, and they thought that maybe that was something, because Sundagrat was this.
Was the City of Gold, yeah.
Well, yeah, they referred to it as a city of gold or something, so that maybe Sundagrat inspired the tales of it, and of course, over the years, they just got grander and grander and grander. So he's getting that. He said, well, whatever we do, don't tell the Joruka that. It's his idea. Because one of the things that happened there is that when we're hearing the tale of the Grey Maul Rebellion, of course, Terry was hearing the description, the first thing she was thinking, what was this, the Fargathal? I said, well, I was trying to lead her away from that by saying, well, it's more like Sundagrat, which more literally the truth on there, but in some ways, it could also have been the Fargathal. It's just that the two of them could possibly have been one and the same.
Well, yes, course, because he said he built a city of gold, and I was like, right. Oh, hey, it's the Fargathal.
Right. So,
it shows I was paying attention during the Three Peaks stuff, okay?
Right, yes, it shows you're paying attention.
Well, and actually, even before that, because we start hearing about the Fargathal back when we're heading up to Scarhald.
Right. So yes, the Fargathol, one of those names I can never remember properly, which is why I like to use Terry Adwin's nickname of El
Dwarven
Dorado of
Eldorado.
Dwarves. Yes.
I
And
don't know,
that
for
can
some reason the Fargathol gets stuck in my head. Probably because I had to type it in enough times as the answer to that stupid riddle and that stupid mission where you're stuck in the vault.
well, yes. That's sort of like how that's starting to get that I'm starting to remember the name Kizu Kala because of that, even though there's no way in the world at the start of the whole thing that I would never remember that.
Ugh.
And anyway, that is the conclusion of the Legacy of Diran. And that means finally we are done following dwarves around for a little while.
We hope.
I think they promised us that we're not going to be with dwarves again for the
No,
next update.
they didn't say anything about that. As a matter
Dwarves
of
are
fact,
back on the menu.
As a matter of fact, specifically what Renania said was that we won't be seeing a Hobbit update in the future anytime soon. There were no promises made about not seeing any more dwarf stuff.
Well, I didn't say no more dwarf stuff. I meant that I think that well before that interview, there were.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Maid of Lions has kind of said, "Well, we're leaving Gundabad. We're leaving the dwarves behind for a while."
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we won't have to worry about them. Where we go after that, we don't know. Anyone have any guesses on that?
I really
East.
want to see more of the storyline that started with the Midsummer Festival with the Corsairs and Umbar and
Oh, yeah.
You
Pirates!
just want to see the pirates again.
I don't know that we're going to see Jajax again. Jajax is probably he and his brothers sailed off into the sunset and left me behind.
Oh.
Because they went back and took over the rightful place as the real heirs of Castamere.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh dear, don't make us fight against him.
We'll have to see what happens then.
No, if he's smart, he went back and took over the islands and told everybody, okay, so now we're just going to lip service bend the knee to this new king, so he'll leave us alone. Because
right.
Jax is wily. He's figured this stuff out.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't figured out non-pirate fashion, but he figured out how to get along with non-pirate people.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a good possibility on that.
Race of
So that-
glass.
Now that the Legacy of Durin is over, now let's talk about other quests within Gundabad. And there are a lot of them.
Most of them
Including
I still haven't
those
done.
deeds too. I did post in the podcast chat
All right. What? The number
picture that you requested.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Good.
Do the second one. I didn't realize that there was still a target assist window on the other one.
Oh, okay. So this is really nice in here. There you go. Yes, a fully constructed and beautiful throne worthy of Durin the Seventh, right? So that's a real nice one to have up there. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Maybe we could get a copy of that linked into the show notes for the podcast version, if Sans can remember.
Or if you just stick it in there, it'll be there.
Okay. Well, that's also another possibility.
I will try to remember, though.
All right. Then let us then see about other quests. And of course, that is the capstone, building that throne room, where I think you have to complete virtually every. Well, I think you have to complete virtually every deed, and of course, since you have to.
Oh, no, not
every
virtually.
quest,
You have to complete all of the deeds, except for
Yes.
the raid stuff.
Correct.
Right. That's why I said virtually, is because I think the raid stuff, and I don't know about the Joruka stuff, since that's all in the missions and all. I don't know if Guare knows on that question, because I think it's
No, it didn't
Right.
have
I
anything
think,
to do with that. That's separate.
yeah, I think it's you have to complete each of the 7 zones
Each
in the
zones, yes.
each zone's made
Quests,
of each
slayers, and locations. Yeah.
and locations. So that's a lot of stuff. I have completed quests on many of them. I think the discovery locations I have, but I think things like treasure chests, I still have not
Oh
completed
yes,
those.
that too. Treasure chest. I'm telling you that guide from Gonz, Gonz. Gonz. If you do a search for Gonz and Gundabad maps,
Right.
great stuff. He has what kind of item, whether it's the rare chest or the regular treasure chest. He even has indicators on it for whether he'll have arrows, whether it's up or down from that, level. That's very helpful, especially in Deep's Grave.
Yes, I'm sure it would be because Deep's Grave is the one that has so much vertical stuff that you have to have an elevator available. But anyway, lots of quests in there and quite a variety of types in there. You have let's search for treasure ones, let's explore a region ones, kill things ones, clean mirrors, and some of them, of course, are a real pain to find because you're saying, okay, where is the location of this?
Not enough Windex in the world.
No surprise to anybody. Tyriadwin has finished most of the Slayer deeds.
Yes. Have champion, will kill. So yes, lots and lots of quests, ultimately leading up to finishing up the throne of there, and I have yet to find any single of the gems yet. Probably because I haven't spent too much time trying to do so yet, because I'm sure it's something that requires some nice dedication in order to complete. And on top of the regular quests, and anyone to have anything to say about any specific quests that they liked or disliked? I guess that's a no.
I hate all quests.
I'm sorry. I've slept since then. I've done Yondershire since then.
Yes, there is that. Now, on top of that, we of course have missions. And the missions for this particular area, they decided to tie to the allegiance system. So this is the first allegiance that has been released since Mordor. So they decided to create a new Joruka allegiance. This is an allegiance that anyone can enter, start from, well, I suppose to do it you have to have the Gundabad quest pack or whatever is in there. So you have to be at least level 20 because that's when missions start. And once you do that, you could join the allegiance for the Joruka. And when you do that, it will unlock the missions in there and you could run missions. And eventually, you could go through all the chapters of the allegiance because doing enough missions eventually gets you enough allegiance awards so that you can go and complete the entire storyline in there. I've completed that storyline on 4 characters now, I think. Though it's a great help that after the first one, if you're still getting those awards are bound to account. So I have nothing else to do with these boxes. You just give it to one of your alts in there and you can get through that storyline a lot faster.
That is how Celeborn's doing it, because Cassowary keeps getting these drops that are for the boxes, and I'm like, I can't use these. Let's put these in shared storage, and they all stack in there. And then Celeborn, my other one, who is like nowhere near Gundabad, is like, I just give them all to him after I got the whole thing started, and that's how he got up to level 30. I haven't actually run the quests involved with them, but yeah, that was his allegiance stuff right there was just pretty much all of the boxes extra I got, and I still have some, so it's time to choose the next character.
Right. Anyway, at the end of it, you get this really, really nice goat, which is my favorite goat in the game.
Pretty nice coat.
It is
Yeah.
a very nice goat.
Very nice goat. And then I think I completed it first on a level 45 character or something like that. So a lower level character was my first one to do it. Then I did it on some capped characters. When I said I had completed on 4 characters, that was 4 capped characters. I also had the lower level character that also had done it. So I guess that's
So
5 characters then.
if it was a 45 character, you actually went into Moria with a goat that wasn't drunk. Let me asterisk there.
Well, I have a non-drunk goat in any case that I get from all my characters when I first create them.
Oh,
Actually, the Ale Association one doesn't get you tipsy. It's the In League that gets you tipsy. Their horse.
everybody on the horse getting tipsy
Uh,
because the horse is anyway.
anyone have any comments on the missions themselves compared to other missions that you've run into, such as War of Three Peaks, or I guess the other areas other than War of Three Peaks only have a limited number of them.
Well,
I
I will
do.
say. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Terry. No, go ahead, Terry.
Well, I will say that I ran the Gundabad missions and then went back to run some War of Three Peaks missions and had a really hard time with the Three Peaks missions. So actually, weirdly, the Gundabad missions are easier than the original Three Peaks ones. Until I got gear up and took Cassowary with me, and we just destroyed everything in the Three Peaks missions. But I will say it is a little bit annoying that pretty much every mission has a clicky thing and not just a kill it all. I think there's maybe just one mission, which is kill whatever comes at you, and it's the one with the sorceress, and she goes green, and then you have to kill more stuff, and it's not like it's even then it's not a straightforward kill all of the things mission. So,
It's also hilarious that she thinks like our greatest fear is a ghost bear.
yeah,
Like that. No.
that is pretty entertaining. But yeah, so for
No,
me, missions were take a friend to do the clicking for you.
I was just going to say I enjoyed the fact that they gave us another way to complete that huge deed for the Inn of Forsaken with all the riddles.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
I actually liked that there was a variety of mechanics in this set that they gave us with the Zelruka. Like riddle
being able to
quests
do
or,
It's like being able to do veil flies there around Bree by going into this other area, and it's like you can
Wildwood, yeah.
Yeah.
And pages. Class book pages.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that pages drop there. And in fact, I think the level 45 character got a number of done that way. Then we finish up on the mission. So how about landscape? What do you say about the layout of the land?
I liked a lot of the areas that they did. I really liked the landscapes. I liked Cloven Gap quite a bit, honestly, even though I think a lot of people were very frustrated about traveling in that zone. I still found it to be enchanting. Yeah, exactly. It was just going up those ramps and up the ramps and up the ramps and then up some ramps and then down some ramps and then up some ramps.
Where's that ramp again?
Well, Cloven Gap was like the worst of the Moria mazes, but prettier.
Yeah, I was really struck by that location. I really liked what they did there. I find that landscape just awesome. So.
I think they did a really good job making a Moria-like place without really being all that reminiscent of Moria. There really weren't, even underground like Deep's Crave and Glooming Tarn, really weren't any notes that strongly reminded me of stuff that had been done in Moria. Kind of really early in Madagard, there were, the mirrors are kind of the same and some of the geodes and things hanging overhead. But then as you progress deeper into the city, so you get the sense that it kind of started off by the same group of dwarves, but then wildly diverged as you get deeper into what's going on. So that was really cool.
Agreed. I loved seeing that Grodbog infestation basically for the first time and trying to fit your head around. Okay, what the heck has happened here? Because that's insane. So
I just kept getting flashes to the Alien films.
I could imagine. This place did look like it was taken over by aliens. Yes, and of course, not Glooming Tar, those names. I always had trouble. Those names sort of conflate in your mind eventually.
See, I don't have that problem at all. They're very distinct to me.
Well, the two that start with G are the ones that always get muddled in my mind. So let's see. So like Glooming Tarm and Glimmerdeep. So actually, Glimmerdeep. That's see, that's
Glimmerdeep isn't even in.
Right? Yeah. That's the problem.
That's
I was doing instances recently, and so I was doing Glimmerdeep also. So that didn't help my brain in that either.
Well, I wonder if part of your problem is you're trying to remember the dwarf names for the places. And if you try to remember the dwarf names for the places, you're definitely going to come up with problems.
Yeah, you got a point there.
This is why we have nicknamed them like the Bargain Pit.
Right, exactly. Because Bargstad was Pit of Stonejaws, which we called the Bargain Pit.
All right.
Shakajot became Shakajock. Taser him.
Yeah, it's all
it would
sorts
have
of
been funnier
weird
if we had been running with a Runekeeper, but it was two champions running around Shakajock. Calabathian and I actually spent a lot of time in Stonejaws because we did the side quests like by ourselves, because the Tuesday group was focused more on the Legacy of Durin storyline, and we were kind of doing our own thing with side quests. But we teamed up quite a bit for side quests, especially in Stonejaws. So we ran through. We actually found almost everything except the treasure chests. Those stinking treasure chests. But it became like a great area to just run in with a pair of champions and pull as much, just find out how much crap you can pull together and then just slaughter it all.
Shing shing.
Oh yeah.
Twice. Shing shing times 2, everything dies.
Except for that one time in that one area, and I was like, we weren't quite sure what had happened there, but there was death.
I think it was a power thing. Well, part of it was my tooltip had popped up over the top of my health and morale and power bars, so I didn't realize that I was losing as much morale as I was losing until I was almost dead. And then it was too late to correct that issue.
It was very strange. It was like a mix of mobs, though, at that point. It was like...
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. There was like dwarf whites and...
I'm sure it was a power issue, though.
And... I almost said rat ghouls, but that is not...
Yeah. Actually, I think the name that I had biggest trouble with was Deep's Crave. That's one I keep on forgetting. I don't know why, but I know it's big and deep.
I think you just want to ignore what happened in Deep's Crave. Deep's Crave was the place where we went in and they said there were trolls, and I said yay, and then we got in and I criticized it for not having enough trolls. I'm like, I thought this place was supposed to be full of trolls. What gives? There are not enough trolls here.
Yes.
Where are my trolls?
Definitely not enough trolls to do the Slayer deed easily.
Anyway,
Speaking of Slayers, my love-hate relationship with Carbonic.
yeah.
3 tiers of evil men of Angmar. So, the Dourhands and the Angmar both count, but still. Rah!
Yeah, 3. Why? How many Slayers have 3 tiers to them? So why did the Iron Crown need 3 tiers?
Because the Angmarim really suck.
Yes, so.
Because it's a really tall crown, okay? No, just...
I suppose it must be. They're all trying to... Maybe because there are 3 main groups with that. Because you've got the Hillmen, you've got the Angrim, and you have the Dourhands. So maybe that's all about. Yes. The Triv Gavalorg, or whatever they're called.
Triv Galore?
Yeah.
I just know that they all die really fast.
That's what you care about. Shing, shing, shing.
Again, champion, Half-Blade will travel.
Half-Blade will travel.
Half-Blade will kill all of the things.
Yep. So we go around all over the place in there, where each of these zones are very, very different from each other. You would think that, considering that we're talking about Gundabad here, almost like Moria 2.0, but the variety of the areas that you have in there is quite large. You got one with this large lake where Durin woke up. You have this area that is so vertical that you need an elevator. You've got an area that has this big gap leading up to the outside. You have an outdoor area where you have a couple of outdoor areas on top of the mountain. So you have all these very different areas. So you don't have the same fatigue about being constantly in the same environment that you had in Moria.
Well, and yeah, Gundabad, it's Moria is darkness, Gundabad is light. I mean, Gundabad is just a light, filled with light. You can see forever. I think that's what was really cool about it.
Well, part of that is because there's holes in the ceiling.
Light holes.
Well,
yeah. You get the sense that it's very cold in Gundabad, as opposed to being probably really stuffy and closed in Moria.
Well, yeah, that's likely. Now, mobs. Now, I think we already started talking about some of the mobs already, because we talked about the Iron Crown being one of the featured ones we have. So you have the Iron Crown, which is one faction that you have in there. You have Gorthog's Orcs, who of course also includes Goblins. That's our second faction. Our third faction that you were running into were the Frost Horde, of course, with the
Hobgoblins, drakes, drakelings.
Yeah, those things. So you have all those going against each other, forming alliances, breaking alliances, and all that fun stuff. You did have outside areas. You would sometimes run into giants, such as in the Welkenlofts. But I would say that they were more likely neutral than with any of the other 3 factions were forming their own faction. And of course, you have the usual nasties that you run into all over the place, such as cave claws and the like.
And those stupid birds everywhere. Whack!
What?
All the birds that were, well, at least in the clothing gap. All the birds flying around.
Well, at least the ones in
That would have been
Carbonic
really
didn't attack.
random. It's just stupid birds, rag! And I'm like, I feel that every day here, okay? There's Parrot, and he yells.
Hey, it sounds pretty much just like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyone have any other mobs that they could think of that doesn't fall into any of the other categories?
Where do the Dower Hands fit in exactly?
Well, the Dower Hands are with the with the Iron Crown. Well, in
Yeah.
most of it, I think there is this question about them thinking of. I know that there's this quest where there seem to be some of them who are dissatisfied with the Iron Crown and some of the late quests in Carbronach, I think.
Is it there or Welkenlofts?
Oh,
Hmm.
I think it might be a little combination of the two, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I think Carbronach, they added some new quests in there because that involved them and the Trebduverdine and all, where
Well, yeah, they pulled the Dreadspire in.
yeah, with the Dreads, yeah, so some additions with the Dreadspire, right? And
Oh my
yes,
gosh,
that's
Terry,
right.
you want to talk about Moria mazes? The Dreadspire's bad.
Yeah. Actually, you just reminded me. I've got to finish the storyline with my brawler because the Dreadspire, because I think that's where the brawler gets their prophecy fulfilled.
Cool.
I haven't done it.
Yeah. So I have to go and take care of that.
I mean, it looks really cool in there, but ugh.
Yeah. All right. So, any other comments anyone have about Gundabad in general?
Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good expansion.
Okay. We get. Okay. Other than the rating, because that's going to be the next thing after this. All right. Since I don't hear anyone else, Krister, how would you rate this?
I enjoyed it thoroughly. I had a lot of fun. We did a lot of content together as a kin going through it initially, so that was that made it a lot of fun as well. And the raid that we've been doing, everybody, regardless of our struggling with the T2 aspect of Hidden Horde, Hidden Horde has been a very enjoyable raid to run, and looking forward to seeing what's next. So what's our rating system even? I don't even know what do we
Letter grade.
Letter grades.
What?
Letter grade.
Oh,
A,
a letter
B,
grade.
C,
Okay,
D?
yeah, definitely got an A for me. Solid A.
All right, an A for that. How about Guarendis?
Good Lord, how did you spell that?
Well,
Pine! That was an O, but I was like, what?
He spelled the Shire with a 5.
Pine, I'm really starting to feel like you don't want me here.
Hey, I got no trouble spelling my own name.
I would say I'm going to give it a solid A. The only thing is maybe an A minus, because the one thing we haven't really brought up that I thought was so odd is we've went through zones before where you could gear up fairly well with landscape gear, and the stats that they gave you for your class worked really well. And I mean, there are some zones like, the Wells of Langflood. Oh my goodness, quests through there and you get great gear. What was up with the choices that they made for the agility classes? Were they trying to just like cram together the wardens and hunters both? Because I don't know how Pine's experience has been with it, but for my hunter, it's kind of like the quest rewards they were giving me were not anything I was super excited about.
Oh,
So
I think we
an A
actually asked
minus
that of
from me.
Reninia.
the raid does the same thing.
Yeah, I actually
Yes.
mentioned that to Reninia, and he gave us a response.
Well, that's for the raid. That's not the quest rewards. I don't know. I always got the sense that quest rewards they were thinking more in terms of general survivability as opposed to usefulness for class. Because I've noticed a lot of extraneous stats on gear that's dropping as a quest reward. Even your might based gear that's dropping for quest rewards. is more geared toward like a tank, which I have zero use for because I'm not a tank. But that said, I didn't have a ton of problems getting geared up because the Shalruka line stuff made up for it for me.
All right. And speaking of Terry Edwin, what grade will you give it?
This is a solid A for me, actually. I really didn't have any complaints about the update other than my issue with the tracery thing, which is just frustrating overall for everybody, I think. And the the fact that one of the missions requires me to pull up the walkthrough every single time I run it.
A certain one that
Those damn riddles get me every time.
But remember, you're working on a deed when you finish those.
You are, but you have to successfully solve the riddle. If you don't solve the riddle correctly and it switches to a new riddle, it doesn't progress you towards your deed.
well, there is that.
Although that is something to consider if a riddle pops that I know is already finished on my deed, I can just give it the wrong answer and make it pop to something else. Food for thought. But yeah, otherwise this is a solid A. I loved. I haven't finished all of the side quests yet. I'm only through Stonejaws, so our next place to go is actually Carbronach, where I will have a lot of fun killing a lot of Angmarim over and over and over and over again. Because as a champion, killing stuff never gets old. I will slaughter them in droves.
All right. Sanswinda.
I really enjoyed the area. I didn't finish the book yet, but I'm almost finished with it. And I think one thing that I noticed that I liked was that the instances, they let us take people, friends with us, even when there was fighting, which was really nice and helpful. Because it didn't break it up and then make you go, try to fight by yourself and maybe have to fight many times. Which in some ways helped make up for the gear. At the same time, I feel like on realizing that I would need to replace my traceries and my gear, I kind of just gave up. So, not entirely sure, where that lands it. Maybe an A-. I really liked the area and had a lot of fun questing there, so.
Right. Calabathian.
Oh, I'm definitely giving it an A. I haven't really finished. I mean, I kind of came to you guys a little bit later in the game on the Tuesday night stuff, so I'd have to go back and actually complete everything going in there, because that whole big letter where you guys read it and actually received it and got stuff, I didn't get because I wasn't there from the beginning. But what I had in Gundabad was actually I really kind of enjoyed it. I have to admit, Sanswinda is correct, and the area and inside the Den of Puglok is very pretty. But then again, I like rainbows and I like sparkly things, and so rainbow sparkly things is it pleases me immensely. So yeah, I mean, I kind of liked the landscape design that they gave. Not really a fan of where am I going and why am I on this staircase, and then finding out that you just spent the last 15 minutes trying to get to something that is not here. You actually had to go the entire opposite direction and come around because there's a staircase. I don't know. Basically, the same things that I really didn't like in Moria really frustrated me, and I didn't like them here, but all the same, I do like the area. It's very fun. And I'm not just saying that because I finally have a level 140 level capped champion. And so everything is a little bit, everything kind of dies really easy. And I can go raiding now in Gundabad. But I'm not just saying it because of that. No, but it is an A.
Okay. Yes, I think this is the first area where I've actually been able to run in the raid, I think, in a timely fashion. There is the question of, now, I can't remember exactly when I did the one in Mordor, because I do remember I did that raid once also. But I think I feel more comfortable with the one that's in Gundabad than the one that was in Mordor. But overall, I think it was a real fun area to do. A real nice storyline, real fun area to do. And yes, I'm going to give that an A also. So it looks like we all got it some version of an A. We have a couple of A minuses or A's. That seems to be the area where we have it for this quest pack.
As the Fonz would say, A.
So let's go into our week in gaming. Calabathian, what were you up to?
Well, I don't know if you consider it gaming, but we had that little interview that we did on Thursday. That was amusing. But otherwise, for LOTRO, I got my anniversary stuff, which is basically nesting dolls of boxes. What did I get in this box? More boxes. So, yeah. I went through all of my characters on all 3 servers that I'm on.
Oh dear
and
Lord.
did anniversary stuff after the first one just to kind of make sure it was all cleared out.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have as many alts as you guys do though, so so yeah, I did that, and then we did the best ever in T2 Hidden Horde last night. And we nearly got through the 3 ice giants for the first time. We had like the 3rd guy down. So, I mean, we were just there. But we didn't. And then we decided to try it one more time and promptly tanked that next attempt. And then we called it a night because, of course. We were like, man, we can do this now. No, we can't.
I'm trying to remember, how is it that one time that way back a couple of weeks ago, we actually managed to get past those giants?
Well, we did the T1s. We're not having any issues with.
No. We once actually did a T2.
That was before. That was before they changed it.
Oh, there were some major changes. Then,
yes,
the T2
yeah. And the T2 got the T2 got. I think the T1 got easier and the T2 got harder.
Okay, that explains it then.
And then for my 3rd one, ESO, I totally maxed out, or have maxed out, about half of my characters for speed in riding, and I'm working on the rest of them. The ones that aren't maxed out are like really close. Well, except for a couple, like the 2 newest ones, they're like, oh hey, 26, that kind of thing. But yeah, haven't really been on there this week. Otherwise. Just kind of been that kind of week. But Krister, how about you?
Well, like you said, we had our best run at the T2 for Hidden Horde last night, where we unfortunately hit the enrage timer. And if we had not hit that timer, we would have gotten through that pulse. So the good news was that kind of, in my eyes, just vindicated everything. Where our tactics are sound. Certainly, like you were saying too, Calabathian, some of it is just the luck of the draw. If people get knocked off that platform too much, that can be a bad outcome for us, or the wrong people die in the wrong order. But what was really nice is we saw we had 2 minis and captains, so we had 4 in combat reses basically. And we saw that really helped us out too. We were able to keep ourselves alive for a lot longer. And so I think I'm looking forward to getting it done now. And we know what our issue is now. We just need to do a little bit more DPS and we should be good to go. And then, of course, we've had the anniversary, and I always like thinking about this because I don't I don't put, unless I'm getting shot down, unless I want to shoot myself down or have somebody else do it. I don't have any hubris about the fact that I joined LOTRO the first week it was open, But if somebody has a problem with it, then of course I'll spout off about how great it is to be, first week, everything. And so right now, if I hear anybody talk about, oh, well, I was playing in beta, my comeback is always, well, I was playing such an early version of alpha that it was actually real. So that squashes any hubris there. So, but the anniversary's out. Haven't been having fun looking at going to the party tree. Can't believe people don't know where that is, and partying. The other thing that Kelly Matthew touched on, which was killing me, was opening the anniversary gifts. We actually, on the raid last night, we had somebody that joined us, and he had just gotten the anniversary stuff. And it was hysterical to hear him go, "Oh my God, what happened to my inventory?" Because you just like you were saying, Kelly Matthew, you start opening those boxes, and then suddenly you have no more inventory space. So it was pretty hysterical to see how much stuff we got. It was almost too much. And let's see, ESO, of course, I've got my orc finally tuned into this devastating lightning machine now. If you've ever seen Big Trouble in Little China, he is the lightning guy out of the three storms. He's the lightning guy. But I was just curious. I know we've been here for quite a while now, but I was just curious if you guys have actually put together sets and set bonuses that have complemented your class or your play style. Have you guys done that yet? And if so, have you guys seen a significant increase in your potency?
When I finally got my sets together, yes, I felt a lot more survivable. I'm running Briarheart and Deadly Strike, and the Deadly Strike particularly is nice because it increases my damage over time and channeled abilities, and there's plenty of stuff I can use with Templar that has that. And then the other one, the Briarheart set, is an Overland set, and it gives me critical damage increase, or I should say weapon and spell damage increase when I do critical damage, and if I do, then I get health back, which is very helpful for me. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of cool sets in the game that really do help out.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, I went in a little bit of different direction, I think, with my sets. I have my main set is the Mage's set, so that's good for if you're a caster. And my other set that I have is actually the Writer's Adept set, so that makes you really, really fast. And I was shocked when I found out that Senswinda didn't know about that set.
What? I'm assuming since you have that set.
Yeah, not quite.
Yeah. So I had the Writer's Adept set. So those are my two sets. But when I swap weapons, I have my final two pieces that I have are both of a slightly more tankier set. What happens is when I swap weapons, I have a sword and shield, and those match those other two. So I essentially am swapping sets whenever I swap back and forth. So I have the more magical set, and then I have the other one, which is a little bit stronger on the potential on the tanky side. Though the one that's on the tanky side never hits 5, so I never have a full set on that. So I never get that 5th item bonus in there. But I am mostly the Major set is my main set. Then you have the Writer's Adept set, and then you have that tertiary set relating to helping us. I can't remember which set it was. It might be the Histbark set or something like that.
Yeah, and just to see that, I mean, what the set I've got right now feels really optimized for solo, but it feels almost like I would need to develop maybe a couple more sets for grouping as well. There might be better things for me to be wearing while I'm in a group,
Yeah, I did not think about grouping when I developed my sets because I don't do enough grouping to make that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this kind of a solo build was much more sensible to me. Yeah, and so and other than that, just kind of I always have to, what is the idle hands do the devil's work. So I always have to be doing something. So I've been goofing around in Starship Evo a little bit, and then playing. I don't know if you guys have ever played Cities Skyline or any of the city sims, but been goofing around with that one lately as well. So all in all, a very fun, easygoing week. And Guare, what'd you get up to?
Well, in LOTRO, I have decided that this is the year I finally get the anniversary cake. I'm determined. The only thing left is the Year 7 Trifles card, which is the Once More with Feeling Part 2, emoting at various big bads. I have to poke my nose into, well, let's see. I know that DN is not going to be too bad, and the Rift, I've done those vastly overleveled for them. So those motes won't be too bad. I've never finished Thorn in the Hand. I still need to do the pits. So I have never been on top of Tower of Orthanc, so I've got some work to do there. Heligrod also, I did Sorvagun. I still need to do the other two wings. I went into the spider wing and couldn't figure out by myself. I couldn't figure out the mechanics, so I'm recruiting a couple of kinnies to go in with me. Just trying to get the last one unlocked to be able to emote at Thorog. And then there's Asa Dunhoth, which normally would have two things in it, Durin's Bane and Gorthrin's Golem. I managed to get Durin's Bane at the Breland Festival grounds last night, though, because Cordovan happened to drop by, and I got a spotted Corgi and an anniversary celebration Corgi, and I got a chance to emote at Durin's Bane when he spawned about 3 of them at the same time. So, one less thing to have to do for that. So yeah, that was kind of funny actually. It's like, hey, I wonder if this will work. I mean, it's real in game here. But yeah, I got to emote at Durin's Bane at the Breland Festival grounds last night on Landerval. I'm also looking forward to our kin meeting tomorrow. We're going to start planning for Festival of the White Lady. The Knights of the White Lady are, because we are celebrating our 15th anniversary this June.
Congratulations!
They created the kin just a few months after the game got out of beta and started. So yes, I'm very much looking forward to that. Very, very proud and delighted to help with that. In ESO, I basically collapsed in a heap after the end of the Jubilee because I was doing every character that I have every day because goodies. But I have been working on leveling my Thieves Guild on a couple of characters for fun and profit. Since Winda, what did you get up to this week?
Well, this week I didn't do a whole lot in-game, but I did use Sikkim quite a few times outside Dingarth on Tuesday night. That was pretty fun. And, just sending it off with all the animals as many times as I could. And I actually got up and used it one last time on Wednesday morning before going to work. Because I could.
Farewell, Sikkim.
Right? I mean, there's just nothing like calling all the animals to your side and then sending them after something. It was fun.
I agree.
And I need to get on and try the new Murder of Crows, because, I mean, that's a fun name, too. I know it won't be the same, but yeah, so I said farewell to Sikkim by using it a lot, and then caused some lag probably, too. But, Lore Master's gotta do what a Lore Master's gotta do. And then I did eventually update LOTRO and collected some rewards, and that's about as far as that got. And I fed some horses and did some crafting in ESO, and did some fishing and ran 10 levels in Palace of the Dead in Final Fantasy XIV, which was fun. And that was my week. How was your week, Terry?
Well, Terry's got so many boxes that she has even less space she had before the update. So, whoa. Actually, just the thought of logging in and looking at her inventory just is painful right now. Because there's still boxes I haven't opened yet. Because I couldn't even deal. I started opening boxes and I was getting more boxes, and I was just completely overwhelmed. And I said, "Okay, we're done with this." So I've been on other characters. I dipped a toe in the Undershire actually with the Academy yesterday, which I hadn't seen any of. I haven't been in Mordor in forever, and I hadn't watched any of the streams dealing with any of the Mordor stuff. Yondershire was for me a complete new surprise thing. I mean, not a surprise because I knew it was coming, but I mean, otherwise it was a surprise. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Um, after update after update after update of dealing with the dwarves and their problems and more dwarves, it was really nice to get back to some hobbity stuff. I forgot how much I love hobbity stuff. Because I actually really do love the hobbity stuff. I have completed the Shire Amenity deed on lots of characters, so because I wanted to, not just because it was a thing that needed to be done. Also, I remembered why I thoroughly enjoyed naming a high elf Grey as the shadow upon my heart. it's for bits of quest text that say, "I'm glad you're here, Grey as the shadow," and then reading those lines out to the other people in the academy so I can hear them all laugh along with me. It's just really funny. Sans will have to bring along the sibling elf who is My Heart Cannot Sing today.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna have to dust her off, take her
Yeah.
out.
We did the first 2 little towns in Yondershire on Friday.
Nice.
And then in ESO, I needed to do some not terribly above board things for endeavors this week. So I dusted off my Nightblade. I've been playing pretty much exclusively Terry, other than the occasional round of Ritz and stable feedings, which I really don't even do all of, because going through all of the alts it's time consuming, mostly because of the logging out and logging back in process for me is really time consuming. It actually takes me longer to just swap characters than it does to run through Ritz. So I don't always do the full round of alts. But I dusted off Sarissa for a little bit and did a lot of stealing of things and breaking into houses and finding some thieves' trove thingies. Because Bastion doesn't approve, and yes, I could switch to Miri on Terry Adwin, but I really like questing with Bastion on her because they've got their groove now because she's my healer spec, and I've got him all tank spec'd. So I know what I'm doing with those 2 characters, and I don't really want to muck that up by swapping into another alt. So I just swapping into a different companion. So I just swap to an alt who plays with Miri. I love some of Miri's comments as you're going through stealing everything that isn't nailed down. She's like, "You'll take just about anything, won't you?" Or, "I saw nothing."
It isn't stealing if you don't get caught.
It isn't stealing if you don't get caught. That's right. It's actually really ballsy to be behind the encounter in Leoin, behind the innkeeper's back, stealing the coins off of the counter. Because I'm actually technically hidden behind her back.
But the thrill of pickpocketing a guard.
I'm not that ballsy because I have problems with pickpocketing because I have movement issues. I have trouble lining myself, and for me, it's not so much. Well, my reflexes are not great, so it takes me a little bit to line up to just the right angle. And of course, by the time I've lined up to just the right angle, the person I've lined up to is turned around and looking at me. So yeah, there's no pickpocketing guard.
Khajiit likes to sneak.
Maybe someday, because as I go through and I fence or launder all of the stuff that I've just stolen, my legerdemain goes up. So slowly but surely, I'm almost to level 8.
There are a couple of skill stars in the craft constellation that you might want to think about getting to. The one that decreases your detection radius. And
yes.
There is the one also too for your movement speed, although there are other ways of getting that, but still.
Well, I did the one for the movement speed, and then I've done some of the stuff for detection. It's just I just generally have movement issues
Yeah.
because you're navigating with the mouse, which isn't the best mode of navigation for me. Because I'm just
I will say that my main, my red guard, which has, you would think absolutely no skills whatsoever at it, is really good at being able to just be kneeling down, and there could be somebody that looks like they're just a few feet away, and she's just like, yoink, yoink, taking stuff out of containers. So, I mean, that constellation, that one star, really, really is
oh
helpful.
yeah, for stealing stuff off the landscape, there's like no equal for my Nightblade. Because, like I said, it was behind the innkeeper's back, stealing stuff off of the counter that she's standing at, like right next to her, stealing. Because
Nope.
I'm just behind her, so I'm technically hidden. It's just pickpocketing is problematic. Pickpocketing would be less problematic if characters stayed put, but it takes me, like I said, I've got to get to just the right spot, and then by the time you're right there, the character that you're trying to pickpocket has turned around and spotted you. So, yeah, pickpocketing is a problem, but for stealing stuff off the landscape, I have no problem whatsoever. Also, picking locks. It's extremely ballsy to be picking a lock and as the guard is walking by. But I've done but I've done that and not got caught. Because then you go into the house, and if the person isn't looking right at the door as you come into the house, you can go back out of the house without collecting a bounty, which is fun. It's like, oh, I swear it was unlocked, officer. I just tripped and fell into the house.
Tripped into the house.
So, Pineleaf, how was your week?
I will begin with my honor warden, who started in a historical tale about the last alliance, meaning, of course, they just opened up on the story which Isildur is telling you. So I went into the old area and started to do the quests in there. So made some progress in that area, and then I was trying to decide it was time for me to do my video on Kizukala. And even though I had never successfully done that instant solo before, every time I think I might have done it in a group one time, but every time I tried it solo, I was just butchered in that thing. So I thought, all right, I'll have to do the video and say, well, this is what it's like to completely fail at this instance. So I go through the whole thing, go through with the discovery deed, and then I eventually go into the instance, and I shocked at the end because I don't know if they changed it or if I finally found the right strategy for doing it, but I actually survived and completed that instance. And I didn't think I was in any serious trouble all the way through. Every other time to it was just dreadfully impossible for me to complete. But this time I managed to complete it all the way through and finish it. In fact, I think the only time I managed to get killed was when I was trying to do the discovery deed. I had forgotten that it was on the lower level instead of the upper level, so I was trying to look for a way. Is there a way to get down there? And went boom. Nope. And as soon as I fell down to my death, as I was passing down to my death, it clicked and says, "You have completed the deed."
I was like, you technically got down there. That it's independent of your condition.
Yeah. It gave me the credit for the deed because I fell flat right next to the entrance. So I got credit for the deed and all that stuff, but it was really, really weird that that's how at least I learned where the instance was and was able to complete it. So that was really nice. And I also headed out into the Undershire. I've done a bit with the Friday Night Academy trip, and I've also done a few areas with another one of my characters with the warden that I have in there, and done. Well, I've been through. See, No Bottle. I've done Longcleave. I've done some of Tyfield, and there are a couple of places where they send you out and about because I'm doing one quest which sent me all over the place in order to get to it. So now I'm getting pretty close to actually finishing that one. I think I just finished up that quest line there. So I am having a lot of fun doing various quests along Shire. We currently have 13 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, you can go to the nation's page to support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money will be used for podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. We do not have any emails this week. If you feel like send one, you can send it to podcast@lotrplayers.com. You can also have Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Alliance, LOTRO Players at LOTRO Players, Arendis at Arendis, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, Senswinda at Senswinda, Terry Edwin at Terry Edwin, Guarendis at Guarendis, Calabathian at Calabathian, and Krister simply is.
That's right.
The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have LOTRO Players News, and we record DDO Players News when Drac is available. And you can join us for our shows at lotrplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight, and this is Piney Mules reminding you to skirmish responsibly.